here is Somerset. You want to show them your cluster first?
Well, you can show basic operation.
Okay. Basic operation, the user can set up any configuration they want on the board.
The blues, again, are middle class.
Middle class,
Mhm.
yeah. Reds are upper class, greens are lower class. By default, clicking the run button makes it run for one complete iteration of the board. One iteration starts with agent position 1, runs through all 256, checks to see if there's an agent in that position, is happy. If it is, it stays put. If it is not happy, it uses the rules to seek a new location. Okay, we can do one iteration at a time.
Why don't you show them the rules so they
Okay.
can, or settings, I
The
should
default
say.
rules are there. And then to do the settings, we can change it so the blue agents only need one red to be happy.
The fun part about things is that you can switch up your simulation mid-run. So if you want to keep, tweaking and testing the system, and they'll give you that dynamic power on the fly.
And you can do the run. We have the total box at the bottom shows you how many iterations you've run the simulation for. And they kind of run around. You can go up here, and we'll do 100 iterations on this quick.
You really start to see the segregation take place.
Yeah. These reds have now formed a coherent community. They've got, each one has 3 neighbors. They're going to stay put now.
And the great part is the green are still pretty much stuck in their original location.
Yeah.
Like they're at.
Yeah.
Again, I see more of the blues are getting happy. They've come over. We said they were happy with one, so they have now found a stationary place. With a more dense population, we opted for, when we did the actual clustering based on Summit County, we opted for a 50% load on the grid. And this is a cluster match based on Summit County median income for 1990. We tried to approximate a geographical distribution based on the clusters that we came up with in our research for the different communities. This is Hudson. And then down here you have central, the southwest and northwest Akron, and that type. The settings that we used for these, we found the settings most closely mimic the county was two agents for the red, one for each blue and the green.
Don't forget the 70-50-30.
Oh, so that's right. We changed the movement rates as well. Even with 100 iterations.
And can I just say one thing? What you're looking at is a real live spatial distribution of the relative wealth in Summit County as it existed in 1990. So that's actual data there.
Each agent on the board represents a population of approximately 4,000.
In terms of, so you see the reds have clustered. In other words, the affluence is down. You see where the greens are relative. The question, part of the question we have is, iterating it in a model, we know what this distribution looks like in 2000 as well, 10 years later.
Does the model mimic
Does
life?
the model mimic that? And that's what we're looking at as one of our issues there.
And just with 100 iterations, that's the cluster that we get. The affluent continue to remain in their clusters. The blues do manage to cluster around because they get in close enough to happeners where they meet their rules. But the greens don't seem to settle. They continue to just mill, even with another. You continue to get the Brownian motion of the greens down here. They cannot find a place to settle. Well, that model was based off of the Summit County data, just to show that clustering does occur from a completely random same distribution, 18 lower class, 90 middle class, 20 upper class. Feel free to jump in anytime, man. I don't know. I'll let you show your agent groups. Okay.
And
This is
a random distribution?
This is a random distribution with the same amount of agents as the population,
Based on the
based on 1990. So the distribution of agents is the same. It's just a completely random distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And even after just 100, well, you know what? That's right. We found out it was even less. At about 35 iterations, the reds settle.
Wow, you start to see the same pattern go?
Just from 35 iterations, the reds settle. And then just another 35, the blues, all the blues that have settled. They're around where they can get, and we only have a few outlying reds who did not manage to settle before the available spaces were taken up by the blues. And that brings up the subject that Kenny was talking about the closure. And well, not the party trap, but the closure, the community closure. Not quite isolation, but the closure of not having available spaces. Eventually, there we go. These guys got lucky; they formed their little community. But the rest of the blues and the greens, because they've been excluded, just can't settle. Yes, sir.
I used to live in Columbus.
Okay.
This brings up an interesting real-world example of this. In the nearest side of Columbus, for the last 50 years, it was predominantly African-American, and it grew more and more lower class as industry left. In the last 5 years, the gay community started buying up homes, old town homes, and they've changed it to, I guess, gentrification is the word for it. How does that, I mean, in the Schelling model, I don't fault you guys at all for not doing that, because I don't know how complicated that's got to be, but how's the Schelling model, or does it accommodate for reds moving into green areas and displacing them? Yeah, and in that case, the lower class people actually...
They move into the area and create an enclave.
They actually want to move away.
Right.
You know, because for economic reasons, and also because they're not like them.
One of the, you want to jump in?
Well, yeah, one of the things that I think our model is different from Schelling is the kind of the idea that we came up with Schelling shows segregation. True segregation cannot exist except in a vacuum, because no matter, like right here, the smallest stable group at 2 for happiness is four agents. Anybody on the outside, if they get here, they're not going to be happy because they're not going to have the minimum 2, so you can't have a completely stable cluster. So complete segregation is never going to happen. What our model shows is not necessarily segregation